Hey everybody, I'm Katie and this is Lacey, and together we are Budget Bitch. Good girl. Welcome back to Budget Bitch. Today I wanted to talk about how my boyfriend and I shared expenses when we moved in together. But first, let's check in on this week's numbers. Here's my income tasks page. You can see I've updated my income on the right. Nothing else to report there. February sinking funds. I haven't made any contributions yet. I will make those contributions on the 15th when I get paid again, but you can see my balances from January. I also made a little note here that renter's insurance has been canceled, and so my future renter's insurance payments, I'll just roll into my overflow. New month means new goals, so I'm keeping my goal of doing these weekly check-ins. They were hugely helpful in January, and I can already tell they're going to be really helpful in February. I hope to do my 2020 taxes this month, get that taken care of. Plan my 40 before 40 financial items. 40 before 40 is a list that I made of 40 things I want to accomplish before I turn 40, which is next month. So I don't have a ton of time to do it, but I just want to make sure that I'm planning for all the things that are going to cost money, because they're going to cost money. You know, you got to plan for that. And then my last goal is to complete the joint spreadsheet with my husband. We have started our spreadsheet and we'll probably start using it in March once the dust has settled from our refinance and we have our marriage certificate and are able to start opening joint accounts and get him on military coverage and all that. Events, Mac Christmas. Mac is my group of very close female friends, Monica, Autumn, Claire, and Katie. That spells Mac. And we're celebrating Christmas this month because Claire moved to Colorado last year, and so we haven't seen her in a really long time. So we're celebrating Christmas and her birthday from January. If you saw any of the January videos, you know Claire's birthday was in January. So I planned for Claire's birthday. I didn't plan as well for Mac Christmas, which is a little sad for my budget. All right, the weekly check-in. I won't bore you with all of the... All right, my weekly check-in at the bottom. Starbucks, I re-upped it once, so we're pretty much on target there. Restaurants, I'm over. And miscellaneous, I'm hella over. Don't panic. Restaurants, I am over. But my husband and I went on a one-night honeymoon this weekend. We traveled, we ate a lot out, and I had a crazy work week where I ate lunch out like every day, which I never do. So this is really over this week, but several really wonderful friends got together and got us a variety of gift cards for eating out. So for our wedding. So that's good. That means our date nights are covered for the rest of the month. So hopefully we can still stay within budget. You can see I actually crossed out some numbers on here because I lowered the budget by a little bit. My hope is that we don't get close to $240 total this month, which is good because miscellaneous, I've already spent more than I was supposed to spend the whole month just in this week. So that's good, right? Here's a breakdown of those expenses. We won't go into detail. You can see I ate out a lot. Yes, I went to Burger King 3 times. We don't need to talk about it. The miscellaneous is partially those Christmas presents that I didn't plan for, partially a business expense that I didn't plan for, a little honeymoon expense that I didn't plan for. They had a pet fee, which they didn't tell us until the day we were supposed to check in, and it was payable only in cash. And then a donation that I made to Big Fluffy Dogs Rescue. That's where I got Lacey. If you're looking for a charity to donate to, Big Fluffy Dogs will take care of you. Since it's the beginning of the month, I'll show you my February budget. It looks different than last month's, partially just because I used 2 pages, which was the correct choice. I also, on this left side, these are things I pay cash for, and on the right side, these are things that I spend through my credit card. I use my Chase Sapphire credit card to get points every month, and I pay it off every month. So theoretically, this amount on the right page should not exceed the Chase Sapphire amount on the left page. You can also see that I have January expenses in there. That's where I went over in January, and I had to take it out of this month's budget. But this month's budget is still looking pretty good. I'm feeling excited about it. Okay, Alita payoff. I've made a couple payments already in this first week, $739.59. This is really exciting, and I'll tell you why. I still anticipate making about $2,000 more of payments this month, which means this month I'm going to get this 5-figure debt down to 4 figures. So excited. Okay, let's get on today's topic. So I just wanted to share how my boyfriend and I split our expenses, because I felt like when I moved in with him, I wasn't sure how to do it, and I didn't find a lot of resources about it. There were a lot of resources about how married couples split expenses, but I didn't see a lot about how dating partners shared expenses. So I'm going to tell you how we did it. Before we get started with the details, let me just point out 2 really important things. One, the key to this for us was communication. And we communicated throughout the process. We communicated monthly. We had a system set up for check-ins. As an example, when we eat out, we usually, one of us pays, and then the other one pays the other person back for whatever they ate. We had a system set up for that. It wasn't working. And then we talked about it, and we changed the system, and the new system works really well. So that's that communication. It's not just one and done. You don't just set it up and then you hope it works. You see if it works, and if it doesn't work, you mix it up, you change it, and you find the way that works for you. The second thing to keep in mind is that this is how we shared our expenses, which has very little to do with how you might share your expenses with somebody that you love. I just offer this as another approach for you to see. Maybe it'll give you some ideas, maybe not. So here's how we divided things by category. The first one is housing, which is a big one. My boyfriend, now husband, I will refer to him as boyfriend in this video for ease of the topic. He owns the house that we live in. And when I moved in, I was not becoming co-owner of the house. I was just living here with him. And so we came up with our own formula for how I would pay rent to him. Obviously, I didn't pay half the mortgage because there are more than 2 people living here. He has a daughter who's here half-time. And so we came up with a formula that roughly equated to 3/8 and 5/8. I paid 3/8 of the mortgage and he paid 5/8 of the mortgage. I think that worked out really great for both of us because it was inexpensive for me. It was actually a little bit cheaper than the place I was living in before. But it also meant that his mortgage was offset, even though he continued to get the equity in the property, which is great. We also had expenses that we split 50-50, so utilities and anything we bought for trips. We bought a lot of camping supplies in the past year because we both started camping together, and so any of those supplies, we split those 50-50. Items like groceries, we split with that 3/8, 5/8 ratio again. His daughter is here. He buys special food for her to pack for lunch and things like that. And so more of the groceries go towards his side. For me, I pay for Lacey's food outside of our grocery budget. So there was no reason for me to pay extra into the grocery budget. When we eat out, we split it based on what we had to eat. Usually one of us will pay and the other one will pay the other person back. Now, how do we reconcile all of these expenses? Of course, we have a spreadsheet. I knew that this is the man I wanted to be with when I moved in, and we immediately made a budget spreadsheet and a housing responsibility spreadsheet. Ugh, be still my heart. So our budget spreadsheet, we each input our expenses for the month. He pays for some utilities, I pay for others. We both buy groceries throughout the month. And so we put all of that into the spreadsheet and it auto-calculates for us. At the beginning of the following month, we just make sure that both of us have finished putting in our expenses, and then the spreadsheet will calculate who owes whom money. It's really easy. I love our spreadsheet. It works really well. It's so clear. It also is a really great way to make sure, hi Lacey, to make sure that we have a talk every month about money, because we get to the end and somebody's going to owe the other person a little bit of money. It's usually not much, but but there is still an outstanding balance. You're very distracting because you're cute, aren't you? Oh my goodness, look at you. Look at you. What's going on? What do you see out there? That spreadsheet is home to utilities, groceries, and any miscellaneous items we buy, either for the house or for camping or vacations or something like that. It does not include rent or eating out. So rent, I just pay him the first of the month through Venmo. And then eating out, similarly, we use Venmo. The way that we've decided to do it, which works really well for us, is if I pay for a meal for both of us, I then charge him through Venmo for how much he owes me. I already paid for it. I have the receipt usually, so the onus is on me to ask for him to pay me. We tried it the other way around, but it turned out that the person who owed the money never knew how much they owed because they weren't the one who paid and they didn't see the receipt. So it ended up being a conversation. This way, the person who buys can just say, all right, you owe me $10 for that thing. I think this system came with a lot of pros, the most important of which was that we talked about our finances every month. As we reconciled our grocery bill, we talked about how much our grocery bill was and how comfortable we felt with that. So I think that was really great. And now that we're married and we're starting the process of merging our finances, we're already really in the habit of talking about all of these things. So I think that's the biggest pro for sure. The other big pro is since we designed this system for ourselves and really had some good talks about it, it feels really mutually respectful and fair, which we both think is really important anytime we're talking about money. I think my neighbor's cutting down a tree, so that's good. Hope you can hear me. The only real con here is that because both of us buy groceries and we update the spreadsheet sort of when we feel like it, it's not a weekly check-in for that, it can be hard to see how much we're spending on groceries throughout the month. We only really get the full picture at the end of the month when we've both entered everything in. That's going to change now that we are married and we're going to change the way we do finances. But for the past 10 months, that's been the only drawback was that grocery bill. So speaking of married, now that we're married, what's going to change? A lot. We're going to start splitting a lot of items 50-50, including the mortgage. We're also going to start paying for groceries 50-50 and eating out. We're just going to pay for all of those things out of our joint account. And we had a lot of talk about this. We really had to sort of talk it through because we really didn't want anyone to feel resentful that they were spending too much money. And my husband felt, well, you know, I have a daughter and she eats food, and you know, when we go out to eat all three of us, she's going to be eating, and so that's going to be more expensive. But what I realized is that usually when we go out to eat, I eat the more expensive meal than he does. So it sort of balances out. If 2 times a month we all eat out together and she is adding cost to his side, well, the other 4 to 6 times that he and I eat out without her, I usually get a bubble tea, right? You've heard me talk about my bubble tea. And it's like $4 each time. And so it's going to balance out. The same way with groceries. We decided to start splitting groceries 50-50 because, again, my stepdaughter, obviously she eats food. She's a human and she eats food. That's part of the grocery bill. To offset that, I'm going to start including Lacey's dog food into our grocery bill so that it feels easier to split 50-50 and he doesn't have to feel like I'm paying more than my share where he feels like he should be paying for his daughter. We have a killer spreadsheet in the works. It's in my list of goals to finish that spreadsheet this month so we can start using it next month when I anticipate our refinance will be complete and closed on and we can start opening our joint accounts and things like that. I'll give you a tour once it's done. And here are some thoughts from Lacey. Whatever system you're setting up, whether it be for you and a partner, you and a roommate, you and yourself, the most important thing is consistently checking in. There's no point in having a budget if you don't check that budget. There's no point in having a plan with a partner if you don't revisit the plan. Look, I got nothing. God, or none up my sleeve.